To investigate the death of a nun.
On September 7th, witness the darkest chapter.
Violet the Defiler.
In the Conjuring Universe.
I had a series of visions when I was younger. And after each one, the same thought would be stuck in my head.
What did you see?
I saw a nun. Word of my visions reached the church, and I was asked to accompany a priest to an abbey in Romania. What?
Finley, get down. God's here.
Hello?
Welcome everybody to episode 54 of They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I am being joined today with Dave Miles, Tim Johnson, and Josh Lambert. Thank you very much everybody for joining us for our review episode, where this week we're going to be talking about a very, very particular movie that's got some very polarizing views from the cast. Particular movie. Some polarizing views from the cast. I'm just going to literally say, let's get into conversation, because that's what this episode entirely is about. Josh, this is going to be Josh's kind of, baptism by fire with the show. Take us out, Josh. Give us
Tell us some of the movie. Tell us, what's this movie about?
The Nun is the latest installment in the Conjuring Universe. So, the Warrens, their story of Amityville and the Conjuring and Annabelle. This is the story about the demon Valak, the nun. So it starts out, you get a young, pre-nun, nun that hasn't taken her vows yet. And she gets...
Is that what they're called? Pre-nuns?
Yeah, pre-nuns. Gets selected by the Vatican. She goes with a priest to Romania to investigate a suicide of another nun. And when they're there, they meet up with a French-Canadian fella, and they go to the abbey, and they investigate...
Frenchie!
And they get there and they find out all the nuns have taken a vow of silence. So they gotta wait for a day, and then a bunch of shit starts going down. Valak is fucking with them. Turns out that Valak, the demon that's been, haunting the Warrens all this time, was, held in a hellmouth at the bottom of this abbey, and all the nuns are praying every day to keep her sealed up. But then some bombs dropped, and she got released, and wreaked havoc on this whole abbey. And the only way to stop her is with the blood of Christ, and for whatever reason, the blood of Christ is in that same abbey. So the pre-nun gets possessed and spits out the blood all over her, and it the whole thing ends up in a big mindfuck that the whole time you're getting bait and switched because the pre-nun is the Warren's actual sister in real life, so everyone's expecting her to be a mother or sister to that main character, and it turns out the connection is actually the French-Canadian guy is actually Maurice from the first Conjuring, and the Warrens are actually not involved in any way, shape, or form, apparently. And that's the Nun.
And with that, you people do not need to spend your fucking hard-earned money to go see this movie. Just take what Josh said and...
Oh my god. You're so harsh.
I am so...
No,
It's
no,
not that
he's
bad.
not.
It's
I
not that
wanted
bad.
my money back.
No.
And me and Adam saw it for free. I wanted my money back.
Tim was warning me because the last time before that we went to a screening and they had the representatives out in the hallway, I fucking let him have it. And Tim was like, "Calm down, Adam."
What?
Oh yeah.
We originally went to go see what was it? Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
And Dunkirk was I hated that movie too. And fucking Adam just comes out and the poor guy with the clipboard.
Warner
He's
Brothers.
there. We're literally like one of the first people out of the theater, and he's like, "So, guys, what'd you think of it?" And Adam's like, "It was shit."
The guy earned his money that
it's
night.
good. So the same thing happened. We were leaving, and the guy was there, and I'm like, "Adam," and then you weren't as vocal, but it was still
I
fun.
was like, it was terrible. I didn't like it.
I wanted my money back, but sir, you got in for free. You should be paying me.
That's right.
You guys are foolish.
Yeah, we're foolish. That's right. So, okay. So, I mean, that's the story in the outline. So, yeah, it's part of the Conjuring Universe, but it's not part of the Conjuring Universe. It ties into the Conjuring Universe. Has one of the sub-characters from Conjuring 2 that becomes the main character. Really, there's not a lot else to say about the storyline for the movie itself. It's pretty clear-cut. Takes place at a different time and place. I just found that this movie, when it came to the story, and this is just my opinion, is that there was a lot of convenience written into the movie. Like you mentioned about the blood of Christ. It just so happened to be at the Abbey that they needed. That's what it was to take to get Valak the demon.
Why not?
But forgiving the, convenience of everything, one of the things that bugged me the most was the horror tropes that they stole from other movies.
Oh my god, yes.
Like, it was one thing after another.
They say homage.
No, literally...
Homage.
No. It was literally like, and they played it off like it was theirs.
No.
So,
You can tell a tribute. You can tell a tribute, right?
yeah,
There was some
I
there was
could tell it.
There was
The
some
whole time I
Toto.
was watching the movie, I was, that's a tribute.
They
Oh,
there was
that's
very
a homage.
there was a-
Fulci and everything.
There was
Yeah,
a
the
very
Fulci
nice
rip-off?
Fulci tribute.
Oh my god, it was a rip. It was no.
Oh, that was cool, man! With the shovel coming right in through the casket. Oh, I love that. That was great.
Hey,
That
it
was
was
so awesome.
it was awesome to see. It was, but right before that,
Mm-hmm.
there was no way that she should have known that he was in that fucking coffin, and she did.
Well, she has
Whoa,
visions.
that sounds like it's him, and he's in a grave over there somewhere.
45
Let's
feet
go
away.
away! And she just magically finds him in an undisturbed grave.
But she has
Okay.
visions.
Okay. All right, hold on. We're losing
It's
our
supernatural.
way. We're losing our way here.
It wasn't that way. All right.
The format of the show is the story. Let's talk characters.
All right.
All right. Acting and characters. Go for it. Dave, I'm going to give this one to you. Go ahead. Start it off.
I really like them. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I thought the acting was weak. I really did. And I'm not just saying that. The script was weak. The acting was weak. But it wasn't a bad movie in my mind. So characters, you had what's her name? Tisa. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Tisa Farmiga, Vera Farmiga's sister from the Conjuring movies. You had I can't remember his name, but he played the priest, Father Burke. You had the guy that played Frenchie, aka Maurice, and then you had Valak. You had the rest of the nunnery, whatever, the nuns in the abbey. there were no strong characters in my mind. Certainly the father tried to play a Vatican expert exorcist type character who just didn't come across as believable. Not saying the movie itself is believable, but regardless. Frenchie was thrown in for comic relief. That's the only reason he was in there. The only one that tried to make a half-hearted effort was Taissa Farmiga. But even then, I just felt that her acting was overdone. It was... I don't know if it was just... I rewatched the movie again this morning, and I picked up on... It was an overacting. It was over-emotion on her face. It was just the character herself. It just seemed like there were a lot of little things that were overdone with her character. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the thought of Valak, the demon, but I just thought it could have been handled a little bit differently. The character could have been written a little bit differently, and we didn't see enough of the demon in the movie.
Thank you.
Yes, that was our biggest gripe, pretty much, coming out of the movie.
How many times did you see Valak? None.
Yeah.
You saw Valak.
Yeah, you saw her, but...
The Nun.
Yeah.
She was in it more in Conjuring, too.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, acting. Josh, buddy. Acting.
Yeah. Well,
Adam's like, just get this done.
the whole fact that the priests are sent from the Vatican and they're like miracle hunters, that's like a real thing.
Yeah.
The Vatican legitimately has priests that they send out to go investigate phenomena like that.
Yes,
So that's cool. I like
that's
any
cool.
of the...
I like it.
That's cool. They added that. I like any of the films and TV series that do that. So like the Exorcist series that's on, the movie Right with Anthony Hopkins. These like supernatural that involve the Vatican. It just creates a really cool theme, I think. Now the character himself, he didn't need to be in the film. They could have removed him in the subplot with the boy. The second act for me is the weakest act. If you just had the first act and the last act was really strong, and the middle, if they just found something better in the middle, it would have been a great movie. I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm saying it's a good movie, Tim. It's good. It's better than going out and wanting your money back for a free film.
I'm just being dramatic.
Okay. Tim, do you have anything else to add to the acting?
I agree that the acting from the whole cast was pretty much over the top. But again, I can forgive that because some of my favorite movies are overacted. Mm-hmm. The thing that I feel...
But this is a movie that tries to play it straight.
Yeah,
and when you're overacting, that's the problem.
I liked the character Father Burke, Damien. I'm going to butcher his name, but like Bashir. I thought he was all right, but the thing that I thought was Taissa Farmiga. I felt that she probably could have like been more of the protagonist. Like she could have been it just be about her. And I forget who mentioned it earlier, but you know, you got the younger sister of the main actress of this series. Wasted opportunity. Like there was one point where she gets possessed and her eyes look white. She looked like Vera.
Yes, I noticed that this morning. And I'm like, wait a minute.
And on top of that, her character had sight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what the fuck? Why? They've already took liberties with the Warrens' fucking history anyway, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say that Lorraine Warren's mom wasn't a fucking nun? Mm-hmm. You don't know. Like, I mean, she probably wasn't, but in this fictional universe, who cares? It was a perfect opportunity, and that was one thing that, like, would have saved this a little bit for me. Like,
in my opinion, they will connect it back. There's no way they're gonna... That bait and switch was the biggest kick to the nuts to any fan of the Conjuring universe. It is. So I can't see them not connecting it. Why would you? Why would you use her? Why would you use her sister as the actress? Actresses.
I think what they used her for was due to the popularity of American Horror Story, which on that I love her on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So that the whole Maurice thing. I mean, at the end of the movie, we see the Warrens doing
exorcism on Maurice.
a university presentation on the exorcism that they were doing,
which was in the first Conjuring.
Was that in the first Conjuring movie? I
couldn't
remember.
The tieback.
It was when the mother of the family actually went to the university to talk to them. She sat in on their presentation, and that's what the presentation was them doing The Exorcist and showing
on
demonology and stuff.
Okay.
Fun trivia fact: the actual Lorraine Warren was in that scene.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that?
I think, like I said, just getting back to the acting and characters. I was just really disappointed that Bonnie Aarons, the nun, or Valak, wasn't in it more. I wanted more of her. It was supposed to be her solo movie. The fucking doll in Annabelle had more screen time than Valak, and Valak is fucking cool looking. Looks like Marilyn Manson dressed up as a nun. Awesome.
Creepy as shit. And the way that they always played the nun character off in The Conjuring 2, and what they were trying to do in this one, where there's always some sort of an interesting entrance into the scene from that character.
Yeah, and there wasn't one in this. And it feels very lackluster and underwhelming. Yeah. I want my money back.
I want my money.
You didn't need to see it. You didn't need to see her. If you would have seen her, it would have been a bunch of jump scares, and you'd be sitting here, the nun was in it too much, jumping out all the time.
That's not what I'm saying. I didn't want the whole movie about her, but it just felt that, again, going with the bait and switch, yes, this movie's about a nun. Yeah. Just not the one you fucking went to see.
I think, in my opinion, they had talked about the history of the actual Valak demon in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that story would have made a stronger fucking movie with better scenes. The whole crusade fucking thing, and that would have made a better fucking movie.
Because they presented an interesting piece of history in this movie with the whole Duke of St. Carta and how they locked the demon into this hellmouth, and that would have been, if the movie had been about that and how Valak became Valak, or how they summoned this demon, that would have been a cool movie for sure.
Yeah. I think it would have been a lot better. Okay, gore and effects. So this movie doesn't have a lot of gore by any means.
No.
It's very minimal. The nun hanging was pretty decent. I mean, it's a hanging bloody nun, so whatever. But the effects in the movie, I can't shit on the effects. Valak and the makeup effects, Valak looked fucking creepy, just like she always does. And I did like the subtlety of certain things, like her movements. Like her floating and her just being there in position and scenes and everything else. To this moment, one of the coolest scenarios in the movie, the only real thing that I take from it, the last 10 minutes of the movie, in the Hellmouth area in the bottom of the actual nunnery itself,
when she
comes out of the fucking water, I was like, okay, if the entire movie had this feeling to it, would have been
that's
great.
what I'm saying.
Would have been great. But
Pennywise reveal up out of the sewer.
Doesn't believe me. Josh doesn't believe me.
So,
Tim, the first act is great. The last act is great. The middle is just close your eyes and take a nap. Wake up when it gets good again.
Set your alarm.
Yeah,
that's right. But the effects in the movie were okay. There was nothing shoddy about it. It wasn't fantastic when they used the CGI, but it wasn't the worst I've ever seen by any means, especially with modern day effects. It wasn't really an effects movie.
It was subtle. They were there, and the effects played more into the storyline rather than sight gags. Let's see how we can gross somebody out. They played more to the storyline than what they did outright, horror effects. And that kind of plays into some of the cinematography too. And really, that's what made it an entertaining movie. When I watched it, it made me feel like I was watching an older Hammer type gothic horror movie.
And that was the vibe they were going for.
And it was amazing, and they knocked it out of the park as far as the feeling, the atmosphere, just the vibe of the movie. They nailed it. I enjoyed watching this movie. There were some aspects that I didn't like the acting and whatnot, and the storyline, but watching it visually, from a visual standpoint, I thought they knocked it out of the park. It was really good.
Yep.
real good.
Real good.
Real good.
Nice, real nice.
Yeah.
But there's one thing, maybe you guys can clarify for me. There's one thing that I still think back, because I haven't rewatched the movie. I only watched it once with Tim in the theater. The nuns from the nunnery were actually dead already, weren't they?
It was
I like-
very much a Sixth Sense reveal. Yeah.
I like the nunnery. I like how you're saying nunnery.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert: the nuns are all dead anyway. So that was probably one of the stronger points with the the reveal of Valak at the end type of thing. Was the twist on the fact that they weren't actually interacting with anybody. It was like trapped souls and visions from Valak being implanted in them or something like this. And the whole scenes with them all in the that one prayer section, and they're all praying, and people are flying all over the place, and then she looks over, and there's it's a dead woman under the sheet anyway. It's like a corpse under the sheet.
Yeah.
It was interesting that way. That was some pretty interesting effects. Some of that, like when they were flying around and all that kind of.
Which
shit.
opens up a pretty big can of worms that Valak is like crazy OP.
Well,
Like this
that's
demon
true.
can manipulate all this reality and send you flying across the room and snap its fingers and you're underground in a coffin, and it just like shows up in paintings in the Warrens' house and spooks them. Like,
what I'm hoping is that they'll do what they'll take the direction that they did with the Annabelle movies. I didn't like the first Annabelle movie the first time I saw it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it as much as I hate The Nun. But I wasn't a big fan. It wasn't until Annabelle Creation came out and how it tied into the original Annabelle at the end. I'm hoping that they'll do that with this.
The Nun Creation.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll
basically.
get that prequel to show, how they summoned Valak, how she came to be.
Because it just felt to me like I was missing a lot of things that I was hoping to get from this movie. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so vocal about I hate this movie and blah, 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 is because I was disappointed. I really wanted to like it. I love the character of Valak. And I wanted to see more of Valak and more of her story. And I didn't get that. Like, yes, there was, some of the callbacks to, the prehistory and, all that kind of stuff throughout the movie, but I just wanted more of her fucking creeping around. Like, I just wanted more, and it left me very, very unfulfilled.
The movie seemed like a very cheap way to just push Valak into the Conjuring universe. Like, magically, everything happened, but that doesn't fucking matter because... Guess what? The French guy's Maurice from the first one. Yay!
But
like
the thing is they already
had
had the setup. They already had this great setup.
that was the plan.
From Conjuring 2, right? Like, they had this great setup. That fucking, the whole painting shit, like, that was great.
It was
but I'm just saying, like, I feel very much like they dropped the ball, and it could have been so much better.
Maybe it made a shit ton of money, so I think a sequel is inevitable. So maybe they'll take some of the feedback, not necessarily from us, but I mean just from the horror community.
Let's send them this video.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, because it's not like
send it right to James Wan.
It's not like anything.
For the record, I'm the one that enjoyed the film, so when we send it, you can just send all the cool stuff to me.
It's not like anything that I would have said to that Warner Brothers representative at the theater would have fucking.
It was shit. It was so
God.
good. It was so good. I was laughing my ass off, but embarrassed at the same time. Like, oh my god,
That's
this
an
is the
average
guy.
day.
Just,
This is an average day out with Adam. I was laughing,
that's
but I was embarrassed.
this is true. I was like,
It's like when I take Tim out. Taking Tim to a haunted house. All right. Best kill in the movie is usually what we talk about next, but there weren't really any kills in the movie except for the nun at the beginning. Best kill.
That's probably the only real kill.
I mean,
I guess,
Killed
but it's not even.
Killed the nun that like off screen that went into the doorway. Then
The best death scene. It's been relabeled then for this one. So the best death scene would probably be the hanging nun.
The hanging nun. It was good because I did actually kind of like that. Like the first couple of minutes of the movie, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. The nun's, well, I guess like Josh would have said, pretty OP, right? She she forces this girl. I'd rather just hang myself out the window than deal with this fucking demon entity, right? There's
Well,
no way to fight it.
no, not that she wanted to deal with her. It's the demon was looking for a vessel.
Yeah.
That was the whole key thing. So she killed herself, so the demon couldn't use her as a vessel.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so I don't want to be a vessel, so I'll just hang myself out the window. So, wasn't really anything else in the movie that stood out though. Like,
The coffin scene.
Coffin scene.
Fucking
I
coffin
liked
scene.
it.
I wish it would have been longer. 4 minutes from start to finish is not long enough for that scene. It rushed it too much and made it like.
Well, I would have liked a little more explanation as to how the fuck she found him in the ground in that one grave. You know, and like I said, she's coming out and she heard a mumble somehow in the distance over there, and she went running for it. So it was the least in a movie that is what it is. It was
they have
the
an out
least
that she has visions. Right? They could have just used that as an out.
Well, they could have had something flash and be like,
exactly,
right, and then okay, she visions where he is, but
yeah,
I don't know, visions, envisioned, whatever you want to say.
It wasn't put together well.
Very good idea. I like the bells because that's a real thing as well.
Absolutely.
In Plague Time, they had the bells. Another callback to like an actual thing that they really did. And they just executed it so poorly that it made for a bad scene.
So the other thing that I will mention though about this entirely though, and actually, you know what? Let's kind of go into some final thoughts here because I think that we're running out of things to talk about this damn movie unless anybody else has anything else to say. So why don't we just say, Dave, give your final thoughts on the movie, please.
I'm a fan of the Conjuring Universe, all the movies. I mean, there are obviously stronger movies in the series compared to the weaker ones being probably The Nun and the original Annabelle. Did I think this was a terrible movie? Not necessarily. I thought it was entertaining. It wasn't a great movie. Certainly it had its faults. It had a number of them. But I was entertained, and I liked the visual aspect of it. I liked the visuals. The cinematography was spot on. It could have been that much better.
Okay, Tim.
I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. I agree with Dave with the cinematography, top notch. The setting, the mood, everything about this movie. They had so much going for it. I just feel that the execution was horrible. Again, it was a very underwhelming disappointment. Like, I was disappointed. And, I really hope that they take the direction that they did with Annabelle and then Annabelle Creation, because it made Annabelle so much better. I'm hoping that The Nun gets kind of a second chance, because Valak is a cool fucking movie monster and a cool,
Yep.
So that's what I'm hoping.
Josh.
I liked it. Overall, it's a solid film. It's not great. I'll probably rewatch it when it comes out on DVD and overanalyze every scene and try and find every Easter egg. It's another part of the Conjureverse, so it is what it is. It's not going to win any awards for Best Horror Film of the Year.
Probably not.
Oh, probably will, actually.
Well, I was just going to say, watch it.
Probably will.
So the only thing that I'll say about this is I expected a little bit more, and maybe it was the writing and not the direction. I expected a little bit more from the movie that was coming out from director Corin Hardy. So Corin Hardy was responsible for, in 2015, he made a movie called The Hallows. And it hit Netflix, and it did a whole bunch of other things. It was an interesting mindfuck of a monster type of supernatural thriller. I liked it a lot, and I think that as a lower budget film, it actually performed better than The Nun in a lot of ways. And it kind of, when this movie was being made, and it was like, hey, Corin Hardy's doing this movie, I was excited because it's one of those opportunities. A lower director, somebody working his way up the ranks, is getting to take something and mold it into, his own thing again, right? But, on a bigger level, budget and everything else. For the most part, visually the movie was fairly appeasing. Right down to the scenes, like I said, the intimate scenes, like at the end where Valak's rising up out of the water, and there's the man can make something visually appealing like you wouldn't believe, and I stand by that. However, I think that the direction of the movie, from the writing and the pace. And I can't shit on a slow pace for a movie because there are a lot of slow burn movies that we like. Just in general, it didn't fit this movie. The pace didn't fit it. The acting didn't fit it. I think the visuals were the only thing that might have even saved it for a lot of people. And for me, there was probably only about 5 to 10 minutes of this movie entirely that I can say that I enjoyed. And the majority of that was the 5 minutes that Valak is actually on screen. And that's it. So, final thing, everybody, slash or pass. Dave.
Slash.
Ooh. Tim.
Pass. Fuck this movie.
Josh.
Slash. And just keep pumping them out.
And for me, this is a pass. So, shit! It's a pass. We got 2 slashes and 2 passes. This is a movie that really had polarizing views for us, so that's why it's good for us to review these kinds of movies every now and then. So,
and these movies aren't stopping anytime soon.
Nope.
I mean, like Josh just said, keep pumping them out. And they are. They've got the 3rd Annabelle movie in the pipeline that's actually going to involve the Warrens and the Warrens' daughter and her interaction with Annabelle. And they've got The Conjuring 3, which I'm a little disappointed because James Wan is not going to be directing. He's going to be producing it, but he's not directing The Conjuring 3. So I'm a little disappointed with that.
Isn't there another movie in the Conjuring universe that's coming out? That
there's The Crooked Man.
Crooked Man.
The Crooked Man.
No, there's another one. Isn't that one La Llorona?
Yeah, that's part of it.
That's part of the Conjuring universe.
That's not part of the Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
Gremlins is part of the Conjuring universe, so that film definitely is.
Get out of here!
It's the same priest, man. From Annabelle.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, that old priest. It's the same priest.
Yep. This is because Tim was telling me about this because the trailer was at the beginning of Halloween when we went to go see it, and he was saying, "Oh, have you seen this yet?" And I said no, and he said it's part of the Conjuring universe, and we started talking about it. And yeah, it's because, and I found an article about it that said that it's part of the Conjuring universe, but not in the way that you think, because it's just barely connected.
It's just it's a shared character.
Yeah. But they're considering it part of the extended universe of the Conjuring movies. There might be one of these things like the kind of MCU thing that's going on where at one point there might be another connection to that movie that connects me. The Conjuring 3 might connect La Llorona more to it or something. We don't know. But
direct connections, though, we've got The Crooked Man, Conjuring 3, and Annabelle 3.
Yeah.
See, and I heard that...
And the Amityville series.
Well, we're just talking about new ones coming out.
Oh. Amityville series.
Well, they go to the Amityville house like multiple times.
Yeah.
But they're making a series of it?
No.
Oh, there's
You're
all
just
kinds of
talking
series.
the old.
Oh, we're talking Horrorverse stuff. Oh, that's another. We'll talk about that later.
I heard that. David F. Sandberg, who did Annabelle Creation, is the one that's supposed to be doing Conjuring 3.
Well, that would be alright.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because this guy's he's like an awesome horror director, and for some reason he's directing fucking Shazam.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah, that was the one that I was just going to look at it because it's kind of like out to lunch there, right? Because I enjoyed Lights Out.
Yeah, Lights Out was good.
There was a bunch of little movies that he did that were like that were really good, but I'm looking at it going, I know he was directing something non-horror coming up, but Shazam. Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to Shazam, so that's interesting. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I think we've kind of beaten this topic to death, so
yep.
I'd say let's call it for the day, and we're going to see everybody the next time that we have an episode, and thanks everybody for tuning in, and until next time, Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody.
Dave.
Have a good night.
Josh.
See you later.
Take it easy, everybody. See you next time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode. Please remember that you can like and subscribe to our page on Facebook, and our episodes can be found over on YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. Please also don't forget to check us out on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets, people. And until next time...
Stay spooky, everybody!
See you later, everybody.
Yeah.